Oh my God.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this, the Order of Leather Dragons. Today, I'm joined by Laura Ann, known online as Bourbon Babe. She's a certified coach, healer, and the creator behind Journey with Laura. Her work blends lifestyle guidance, energy healing, sound therapy, and spiritual insight, all rooted in personal experience and a deep commitment to helping others reconnect with themselves, because we all know we could use some help in that department. So, in this conversation, we talk about identity, awakening, nature, healing, womanhood, and of course, bourbon, because we there, we cannot do an episode with Bourbon Babe without talking about bourbon. So, Laura, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Joaquin. Now, should I call you Joaquin or should I call you Jay? Because I'm American and I pronounce the J. I know you.
I actually like how it sounds with a J. And in most languages, it's pronounced like that. So it's only Spanish that had to do it the other way. Just like the British had to do it the other way with the um, writing on the other side of the road with the J. It's but no worries, because I understand. Besides, you got Joaquin Phoenix, so there's a correlation there. So it's all good for me.
There is. So you know what? Before this podcast, I
Mm.
kept practicing Joaquin, Joaquin, Joaquin. I can do this, Joaquin.
Yeah. People get stressed about pronouncing my name like you wouldn't believe. It's not, and I'm like, they're like, so it's. Do you pronounce the O and the A? I'm like, just say Joaquin. Just relax, Joaquin. That's it.
It's a relaxation. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a diphthong, so it's not like Hoak. It's nobody says it like that, you know.
that's
But
true.
we could talk about me all day long, and I wouldn't be mad, honestly, because vanity is my favorite sin. I mean,
Well, though, you
hmm,
do know me well, and you know that I turn things around a lot and I ask you questions.
that's a clever trick, and you can definitely pull that on me, and I wouldn't notice. Even if I did notice, I would just let it slide. But speaking of names, how did you get that nickname, Bourbon Babe? Let's start from the beginning.
All right, so Bourbon Babe is exactly that. I love bourbon,
Oof.
even though I have restricted myself this evening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being I'm being good and I'm drinking water.
Okay.
Okay, so
We're
no bourbon tonight. We'll do another one. Yes, cheers. So
cheers,
we'll do
cheers.
another one.
Here we go.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll do another one
Mm.
uh, with bourbon, and
Yeah. That would
you
be cool
know that.
to do one with we could get different types of bourbon. Maybe not the same brand, but different types, and we can like do a sommelier type of show and talk about the different scents. That'll be awesome.
We could definitely do that. Oh yeah, that's like one of my favorite. I love bourbons. I
Oh,
love
really?
so many different. I have my favorites, but and I'm always trying new ones, but I love bourbon. I don't know why, I just do. And I was always a vodka drinker
Mm,
and a gin drinker
mm.
like most of my life, and then I was turned on to bourbon and I was sold. Boom.
So,
I was sold.
so bourbon really is the American version of whiskey, right?
It is. Yeah,
Hmm.
it totally is. It's whiskey.
It's whiskey, exactly. But here's the thing: both bourbon and your name, Laura Ann, they're Southern. Let's be real,
You
right?
think there's a correlation
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Yes. Tell me about yourself. Is there a Do you have a Southern background? What is your background, Laura Ann?
No, I have no Southern. Well,
What?
wait a minute.
What
Wait
I miss?
1 second. Okay.
Okay.
I guess you can call it Southern
All right.
because I'm 100% Sicilian
Yes.
and it
Okay.
is the Southern end of Italy, right? So,
I'll take
no
it.
one else, I guess that's where it comes from.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Right, because I didn't say what southern, right? So
Right? You didn't.
I didn't say. So let's talk about that Italian heritage.
Yeah.
Does that has that color the way you view the world in your journey through life?
Um, when I was coming up, my parents were very proud of their tradition, and they would always point out, oh, he's Italian and she's Italian. And so they made a big thing
Hmm.
because they were Italian, then they were like us. Okay. It
Right,
was
right,
like,
right,
I
right,
used to
right.
sit back and go, I don't get it. Okay. Like, what does that mean? I don't
You're like, okay. You're like a kid. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
sure.
it was like one of the thousands of things that I questioned growing up. I was
Right.
always questioning everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you come from a big Italian family? Is it like stereotypical loud, lots of food, wine, or more? I mean, if it's Sicilian, it's got to be something like that.
One would think,
One would think,
right?
okay, okay.
Yeah, one would think, but we were pretty American.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Grandparents came off the boat.
Okay.
Italian was never spoken
Hmm.
in my house.
Hmm.
Yeah, they never spoke Italian. Every
Then you,
once in a while, I would hear, and Sicilian dialect is
uh,
different, you
uh
know,
I
different
think,
parts of Italy.
right. I think Sicilian is the closest to Latin, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not really sure. It sounds rougher. It
Yeah.
sounds very slang, like when it's like stupid, stunata. Okay, so like Rome or Middle Italy would really pronounce the T, where Sicily would be like more slang, like stunada. Okay, and I always thought like it sounded so dumb. Okay,
Right, 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 right,
like
right.
calamari. Okay, calamari versus calamari.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so they would just dumb it down, and it was just slang, and so that's how they talked. So like my
Mhm.
grandmother talked a little bit, um, but we were more American.
Okay, so have you been to Italy?
Yes, I have.
Did you
I
feel
have not.
anything?
I have not been to Sicily,
Mm,
where my background
mhm.
is, but I've been to Rome. And yeah, I had some really, really weird experiences in Rome. So I'm a feeler. Okay.
Okay.
I like to use feeler instead of empath because empath is just kind of overused and it's whatever.
It's very new
But I have
agey.
it's so new
It's
agey.
so new
Okay. And
age, yeah.
it
Right,
really
right.
is. Okay. And it's like, and when I say that, I feel like really stupid saying that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I'm not like one of those. I've always been a feeler. So
Hmm.
when I went to Rome, I had a very, very interesting experience. And
Could you please
yeah, I knew
indulge
you
us
were
a bit?
gonna So we were at the Vatican
Mhm.
and we were kind of walking through it, and there was a place in the Vatican, and you can see down. We were kind of standing up on the floor, and you can
Mhm.
see down, and it was like stairs going downstairs somewhere, but we
Mhm.
couldn't go there, right?
Mhm.
So we're walking around, and I just got this like really strange feeling while I was there, and I was like, "What is this all about?
Mhm.
I don't know what this is." So we just went through the day.
Mhm.
Now they eat late there. So we went out to dinner and it was probably about 11 o'clock and we're eating dinner. We
Mhm.
go back to the hotel room
Mhm.
and I had some wine. By no means was I drunk or anything like that,
Right.
but
Mhm.
it was the strangest thing. I, out of nowhere, lost it. I just started like
Mhm.
writhing back and forth and speaking something that I didn't even know what I was
Oh,
speaking. Yeah.
hey,
It was
damn,
really,
that was
it
some good wine. Damn.
I kept thinking, did I have too much wine? There's no way I didn't have that much wine. I know I didn't. And my husband,
Mhm.
he literally, in order to calm me down, he had to put his arms around me like a straitjacket
Right, right.
and just hold me. And then it just went away. And we weren't even married at this point. This is before we
That's where he
got.
said, she's a keeper. Sold.
He's
Not gonna be a boring marriage.
I still to this day can't believe he married me after that one.
That man, that's a saint right there. That's a saint. He took on that challenge.
He did. Yeah,
Right.
so it was really weird. So that happened, and it was always in the fore of my mind, like, what is this? What
Mhm,
happened that night?
mhm, mhm,
I could not understand it. And about, oh my God, I think it was like 2010
mhm,
when I really began to go down the rabbit hole.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I learned of this woman, her name was Savali.
mhm,
And that was her pseudo name. That was
mhm.
her basically name out there. And she came from the projects and programs. And she was revealing everything under the pseudo name. And
Right.
then I'm listening to her and she starts talking about the Vatican.
Uh-huh.
And she starts talking about a place
Oh
downstairs
shit.
in the Vatican
Yeah, 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 yeah.
where she was brought as a child to witness a sacrifice. So that, and she's describing how, the whole platform, and they brought a baby in, and the blood wells and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You wow. Okay, I was listening to this and I got the biggest goosebumps on my arms
Right.
like no other. And I'm like, that is what I felt.
So
I
you felt like she
felt,
was talking to you, basically.
well, I was like, there's my answer.
There's your answer, right?
There's my answer how many years later as
Mm-hmm.
to what and why that whole thing happened. And I picked up on all that negative energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was totally negative energy. I mean, I felt it when I walked by it. I
Oof.
felt it so strong, and it was like, I can't explain what I'm feeling right now. Yeah. And then later
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Do you think it has something to do not only with the place, but with you yourself? Maybe some connection to that land, that place. So I'm curious sometimes if certain places connect with certain people because of their
Hmm.
heritage. You know what I mean? I'm
Hmm.
curious about that. Do you feel that, or could have been anybody?
Um, I definitely feel that there's ancestral,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it goes really deep,
Right.
and even some experiences in the current life that you
Right.
bring through, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So you talk about that experience. You talk about being a feeler. What moment made you realize that life is but a dream in your whole life's journey? When was that moment that you realized there?
Well,
Okay, this is not reality. This is not the whole reality, anyways.
oh my God. Okay, so as a kid, I
Mm-hmm.
used to question everything.
You said what?
I, as a kid, I used to question
Oh,
everything.
question. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to question everything. I used to question, the news, politics,
Yes.
all of that.
Right.
It made zero sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always into learning about the occult, like what goes on, because this isn't right. None of
Mm-hmm.
this makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many things that happened to me that were unexplainable. And I'll tell you one to this day, and I feel like it happened yesterday. I was I was in high school and I was driving home. It was around 11 o'clock, and I was driving on the street where I'm going this way, and then the hill goes down, and
Hmm.
then opposite traffic comes this way. So they're going up the hill, and it's a blind spot.
Right,
And
right, right.
I'm coming this way, and I'm at the crest of this hill.
Hmm.
There were bright lights right in front of me. Okay. And I actually went like this, and I thought, I'm dead. This guy was coming head on, straight head on. And I'm like this, and I'm like, I'm dead.
Right.
It went right through me. Swear to God. I swear to God. I'm like, what? What just happened? And I'm like, okay, I didn't fall asleep. No, I looked, I immediately like drove down a ways, and I looked in my rearview mirror to see if there were taillights.
Hmm.
There were taillights, and it was a truck. And I'm like, how did that? It was supposed to hit me
Hit
head
you.
on.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like a wave of energy go right through me.
Mm, my God.
The weirdest thing that has lots of weird things have
I mean,
happened.
so that was I guess the start of it all. Let's say for real. Like there's definitely something else, right?
Well, it actually started much younger. When I was younger, I had some very strange things happen to me too.
Hmm.
In,
Yeah.
yeah, in the house, and yeah. So it started before that, and I had an aunt, and she was very much into the mystics and
Hmm.
stuff. And she would take me to psychics, and she really got me into that. And we discovered all kinds of things. So,
It's
but
always
yeah,
it's always
and
an
then
ant.
there's always an aunt,
There's
right?
always an ant. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always an aunt.
Yeah. There has to be one for some reason. All right.
Mhm.
So, um, does nature play a role in your healing and spiritual practice?
Well, I live on 100 acres of property with 3 lakes,
Mm,
and I would say absolutely. I'm an earth sign. I've always loved the mother. Okay. I am a very earthy person,
right.
and it
Hence the
is
bourbon.
hence the bourbon, yes.
Mhm.
But even as a kid, I would spend all my summers in the woods.
Ooh.
So when we were off in the summer, we go to school in the winter, right? And
Mhm.
summer break, I would literally leave the house, and I was, my God, 11, 10, something like that. And I would leave the house and pack a little food, and I would go in the woods all day long. And then around 5 o'clock, I would hear my mother screaming,
Right.
"Oh, God, it's dinner." Okay. And that was my cue to go home for dinner. Okay. But
Right.
I would spend my whole day. I loved being in the woods. I loved exploring. I loved toads. I loved frogs. I loved salamanders. I loved smoking grapevines. Okay. Just loved.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know you could do that.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All
Sure
right.
can.
So you basically were Laura the Explorer.
I was Laura the Explorer.
Right. Right. In this in these adventures, I mean, one thinks that it has to be something like overwhelming, but I guess a lot of things in nature is very subtle. You just feel it, right? It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be whoosh. It could be just being there. You feel it that it's alive in more than one way.
Yes. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, instead of being cooped up in the house, once you walk outside, I
Oh,
mean, unless it's like 10 below, it's not fun. But once you walk outside and, your body is taking in, especially sunshine, but
yeah.
even when it's not sunny, at least if you go and step on the grass, and the best thing to do is be barefoot. because it's a grounding
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
feeling. So you're
Mm-hmm.
standing there and you're actually feeling the energy coming up from the earth,
Right.
and it's comforting, you know. It's not everybody feels that way though, which
Mm.
is unique, interesting to me. And just, other people feel it more than other people.
Right. Right. Yeah. What sign are you, by the way?
What sign?
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo.
Oh.
That is an earth sign through and through. I've got
Right.
so much Virgo in my chart, it's kind of crazy. But I'm an Aquarius rising.
Right. That's
Yeah,
an air sign, right?
that's an air sign. Yeah.
Right, right. Thus the hair. Yeah, well, I'm a Libra and
Air sign.
air sign, yeah, and a Taurus rising, so I got that bullish demeanor.
And and Taurus is an earth sign.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got very little earth in my chart, but that where I do have it is in Taurus. Yeah. So, um my other question, have you ever had to face true darkness or evil? And how did you move through it? Like one moment that you knew you were facing something that is dark. There's no question about it. You're facing something evil.
Hmm.
Has that ever happened to you out besides the Vatican incident? Like something
Yes.
more personal, like maybe a human being or an entity?
Yes.
Ooh, do tell.
Yes.
You know, I make light of this, but it's just because I don't. It's very. There's no other way to deal with it, right? I mean,
Yeah. It was I think attachments find me attractive. I'll just say that.
right,
Okay.
right.
And um it was coming on, and it got very, very strong, and I was actually getting physically ill. Um
Mm,
my skin was actually turning gray.
oh my
Okay.
God.
And then my stomach was, because my stomach, I think that is where most things hit me, is in my
Mm-hmm,
stomach.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
not unusual because
mm-hmm,
your gut really,
mm-hmm.
it
100%.
governs.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. 100%.
And so my girlfriend had noticed it one night. She was over and she goes, what's wrong with you? She goes, you're gray.
My God.
And yeah, I mean, she really noticed it. And then I'm by myself one day and it completely consume me. And the only thing that I could do, that I can think of doing, was I dropped down to my knees
Oh, mm,
and I said, I need help.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
from the creator, I says,
mm-hmm,
I need help.
mm-hmm,
Please help me. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll stay away from certain things, whatever. And
yeah.
man, I'll tell you what, it was like I opened a door and it just boom,
Mm, mm,
it went.
mm,
But
mm-hmm,
that's not the only time. It happened with my daughter. My daughter's a sensitive, and I won't go through that whole story of what we went through with her, but I'll give you an example. I had a little pit bull,
mm,
and I had this chair in the old house, and this chair, this picture, I called it my reading chair, and this picture that I had by it looked just like my daughter, and that's why I bought it.
mm,
And she was holding a book. And so we're sitting in the great room, and we're sitting by that chair. And Luna, my pit bull, was very nervous. And I'm talking to my niece. She's in the house too. And her and I are just talking. And she started circling, and she went over to that picture and she's growling at the picture. Yeah. And I'm like, I said to my niece, I said, "Did you see that? Like, this is really happening." Then she came right over around to my left side as
Mm-hmm.
close as she could be because I was sitting on a cushion on the floor, and she just stayed there, like, protecting me.
Mm.
The next thing I know, she ran into the hall bathroom and just started barking, like something was in
Something
there.
was definitely there. Yeah,
Something
yeah,
was there. Yeah,
yeah,
something
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm like, "Oh god, this this is just." I had to take measures to get that out of my
Right,
house.
right. Of course,
Yes,
of
I
course.
did.
Yeah. So you spoke about having a pit bull. Have you ever had cats, and have they played a role in these encounters?
I've had 2 cats. I had a Seal Point Siamese
Mm,
and a Seal Point Himalayan.
wow.
Yeah, and they were both really cool. The Himalayan, his name was Chattanooga Choo Choo. He was the coolest cat. I taught him to speak.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, I taught him to speak, and so I'd give him a little treat, okay, and say, "Choo choo, speak," and he would meow. So cats are totally trainable. And then my Siamese Sill Point, she was she didn't like people. Whereas Choo Choo was just super friendly. He'd go up to
Okay.
anybody. And
Okay.
she was all over me, but she really, with other people came over, she didn't
Right.
want to have
She
any.
went to her spot where nobody could
Yep.
find her.
Yep.
All right. So I guess so. Your whole family is trained in this because if they, I mean, if they're living with you, they had to kind of know things were up, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How did you do that?
Can
Okay.
imagine. Like, oh my God, never a dull moment.
No. No.
Right. So listen, there's this term that's being used for a while on these spaces when it comes to these types of topics, and but I want to take your opinion on it. What does it mean to be awake?
Well, I guess you can address that in so many ways. So if you scale it down, when you mean awake, what exactly do you mean? I mean, awake to what's happening in the world,
Mhm,
awake to in regards to conspiracy
mhm,
theories.
mhm.
Let's break it down a little bit more.
Let's say that you're not just a unit of consumption. You're not just your name, your identity that's given to you. Maybe I am answering the question myself. Well, I
So that
think.
so what you're saying, what I'm hearing, I think is that when did you realize that you are a lot more than this
Mm,
body
see,
walking around?
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
I would say that, my God, we're 25. I would have to say I realized that a long time ago. I can't even tell you how many years ago because I knew that there was much more than this, much more. But as I grew, it became stronger and stronger and stronger. And especially with everything that's happened to me and what
Mhm.
has been proven to me over and over and over again. I mean, I have so many stories, but we're not going to go to all those stories, but it's been proven to me over and over and over again.
Right, right. A lot of winks and nudges from the
Yeah.
universe, right? Sometimes push.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. So on another topic, today in age, there's a lot of confusion going around, and there's a lot of tension between the sexes because after all these revolutions, um, feminism, and with the whole woke thing, the trans thing, um, people might be confused in terms of what their role is, right? So for you, you that have been a daughter, a wife, a mother, and many other things, what is a woman and what is an authentic woman? Especially the
So,
last one, being authentically woman. What does that mean?
yeah. And I've always felt, and this has never changed,
Mm-hmm.
there are men and there are women, and there is a distinct difference. And a
Mm-hmm.
man has his place, and a woman has her place. And I am not saying that, a woman has her place to be a homemaker and wear an
Right.
apron and clean the house.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different beings,
Mm-hmm.
and they were made that way to conjunct
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for a reason, to procreate.
Firstly,
So
right? To start with.
first and foremost,
Right.
right? And then, all the other wonderful things that go on between a man and a woman. And I've always felt that way. When I started seeing, this change, it was disturbing to me. I'll be really honest with you, because I felt that it went against what creation
Mm-hmm.
is all about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I began to accept it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel that we've got so many exterior influences
Right.
here,
Right.
and human beings can so easily be influenced. And I
Yes.
think I think that was the case all
Mm-hmm.
along. And now we're at a point right now, unfortunately, where all lines are blurred,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
You know, I
Um.
still love humans. I will accept them for who and what they are, but that's how I feel,
Right.
to the core.
Right.
And being a woman, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I, all right, I believe
Yes, Laura,
that
give us the
a man should be a man,
uh-huh.
okay? And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to spend my life
Mm-hmm.
or my time, I want a man to treat me like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right.
I do.
Right.
you know?
Right. 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 Right.
I don't even think it's old fashioned. I think it's natural. I think it's just because, and I think a man can make a woman feel so special,
And
right?
it's kind of like a yin yang thing because I'll give an example from my own personal experience. I'm not I not naturally, or I shouldn't say this. I didn't fix much things growing up. I took apart a lot of things to see what was going on in them, but I wasn't a mechanic, wasn't a handyman per se. But this one time, this girlfriend that I had, she was in distress because her washing machine broke down, and she asked me to take a look at it, and I was like, "Oh my god." And so it's like this is not the time to wimp out, right? Okay. I'm gonna take a look at it, and I'm okay. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Let's do this. I swear to you, I opened it and it was like, boom, it works. And she was like, and she went and grabbed my thigh. Like I felt like Conan the Barbarian. I felt this. I've never felt like that in my entire life because it was so like primal and pure
Yes.
and real because I actually did something that was of value to her, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh, so there's something to this whole narrative, like they keep bashing against, like this whole traditional thing. There's something to it because when it does happen, it's like saying water is wet. You know, it's so obvious and it's fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
another thing. I never asked any of my. I sound like Don Juan. I've never asked any of my girlfriends to cook for me, right? Because I always felt like I could do that. I could do that myself, or my mom could do it for me. It wasn't her job. It wasn't in her job description until I met one that liked to cook. And she was
Uh-huh.
like, "You want me to make you a steak dinner?" I'm like, "You don't have to," because I thought it was bothersome. She insisted. I'm like, "Okay," and I ate it. It was so good. I'm like, "This is so good," and she was like, her face lit up. I'm like, "Oh, so there's something to this too. It's not just propaganda from the right wing. You know what I mean? It actually fulfills something that's ancestral, I guess."
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like it's a give and take.
Mm-hmm.
It comes for some people, it comes very natural.
Right, right.
And it's like I love to cook.
Mm-hmm.
When I see that my husband loves what I cooked,
Mm.
okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just okay. He loves my cooking. Okay, he's liked it from day one. Okay, yeah, just from day one.
This is why he puts up
Like,
with all this shit. He's like,
he
"Man,
puts
the
up with
cooking is
all this
good.
shit, but
The
yeah,
cooking is
put
good. I'll
food in
take
front of
it."
him. Yeah, it
Oh.
sold him. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. I can see why. Like I know now. Like I'll put up with a lot of stuff if the cooking is good, man. Because there's something about being taken care of. Like the world is
Taken
hostile,
care of.
right? You
Yes,
go you go out there and you go to hunt, right? Then you come back home, you want some space, you want some peace, you want some loving, right? And the first person that gave you food was a female, was your mother, right? So I'm sure that's tapping into something, right? So it's being happy. It seems to be really easy, but we like to complicate things, don't we, Laura?
we do. We absolutely do. And it really doesn't have to be complicated. It really needs to be that simple, but nothing is simple anymore.
Mm, nothing is,
And
nothing is.
we did it to ourselves.
just
I
just
mean,
like that Radiohead
humans do
song.
it to themselves. I
Right.
mean, that's the
Mm,
bottom line. But
yes.
yeah, men like to be nurtured. I mean, women are nurturers, all
Yes.
right?
Right.
And men like to be taken care of, but
Yeah.
women also appreciates a man to come in like you did and fix things
Right.
and take care of things
Right.
and
Right.
provide a protective, environment because a man, I don't care what anybody says, is going to be stronger than a woman,
Hmm.
right? It's just the way it is. So, as a woman, I appreciate a man coming in and being my protector,
Right. And
right?
also, I would like to add to that not only strength, but there's something that clicks in a man's head when he senses there's danger to his family, to his partner. Man, it's just you go caveman.
Yep, that's right.
and that strength doubles,
Yep.
right? So,
Yeah.
Laura, your website, Journey with Laura, offers
Yeah.
so much. What kind of adventures and healing can people expect? Because I was surprised of this. Like I knew you did stuff, but this is like, whoa, we got to talk about this.
Yeah. So, I do energy healing, which is basically Reiki.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm certified Reiki practitioner. And I was basically doing Reiki before they called it Reiki or
Oh,
before
before it was cool.
it was cool. Okay. Put it that way. I mean, Reiki's been around forever, but before it was cool, I
Right.
was basically doing that. And one of the highlights was I had this little dog. Her name was Bella, and
Mm,
something happened to her, and we had no idea. She couldn't move. It was something to do with her neck.
mm.
And my husband was actually, we were talking about putting her down.
Right,
Okay.
right.
there was nothing that the vets could do. She couldn't even get up anymore. It was really bad. So, but she was still living, but you can see she was dying, right?
Mm, mm,
So I'll never forget it. It was September 10th, and I went to a psychic fair.
mm,
And I sat down, I went by myself, and I sat down. And the first reader I had, she gives me a reading and all this. And then she says, um, "What's wrong with your dog?"
oh, whoa, oh,
I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "What's wrong with your dog?"
what?
And I'm like, she's not doing well. Okay. She goes, "Go home and heal your dog." I said, "Excuse me?" She says, "Go home and heal your dog." I said, "I can't do that." She goes, "Go home and heal your dog."
Woman.
Okay. So I went home and I'm thinking about this and thinking about this. Like, well, I don't know what to do. Okay. And I remember my mom was over and I picked up Bella, I put her on the couch
Mhm.
and I put my hands around her neck. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try. I don't know what
Right.
I'm doing, but I'm going to try. And so I closed my eyes and to my upper right, I saw like a vision of a tunnel of energy. And it
Mm,
was like white static energy.
mhm.
Remember years ago the TV would go white, you'd have that static on the TV when it would
Right,
shut down.
right, right.
It,
Mm,
it was like that, and it was like a tunnel, and it was coming from the right. And then I'm like, okay, and it started going through my hands. Okay, and I'm like, I'm holding her neck, and I'm like, okay, and I can feel this energy. And my mom's just kind of sitting there watching. And then I was on her for probably about 10 minutes,
mm,
and I kept like that, and she would move and stuff like that. And she still didn't get up. And I'm like, okay, well,
okay.
I tried. I don't know, went to bed the next morning. I kid you not. The next morning, I come out of the bedroom and there's Bella, and she's just prancing around like nothing, and I'm like, ah!
It's a miracle.
I'm like, no, I did. I healed their dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have blown your mind.
It blew my mind. It
Right.
really blew my mind. My daughter comes down from downstairs. She goes, "Oh my God, Bella! Oh my God!" I'm like, "I healed her. I healed her." Okay. And then my husband comes out of the bedroom. Oh, because he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. Nothing. He doesn't believe in it. Oh no, she just snapped out of it. And I'm
Just
like,
snapped out of it. All right. Crippling death. My God.
You were
Yeah.
gonna shoot her yesterday, okay? Put her
Yeah. Yeah, you know
out.
that's coping, Mac. He knows what's up. That's he's
Oh yeah,
coping.
you know what? With him, I have no doubt
Hmm.
that he is in denial
Right.
or something. This has been a wedge between us for so many years because I know so much and he just refuses.
That's a huge wedge.
Yeah. However, this is the really interesting thing.
Right.
I did find a couple Freemason books of his.
Oh, you sneaky little devil, you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, this is really interesting." Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like I don't believe a word you say from now on. Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny. It's so
Yeah.
typical though, right? It's so typical.
Well, it's in his family. He's Grand Masons. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's no, I don't know why you guys chose each other. I'm sure it was natural, but I sometimes I think people get together. It's like almost pre-programmed. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, there's no accidents. There are no accidents with
You know,
yeah.
I was doing this episode with a friend of mine, and we went to the park to talk about Freemasonry and its role in the independence of the different countries here in the Americas. And this old man was listening to us. He was kind of, looking, reading, then looking, and then he kind of went over us, and then he showed us his insignia of belonging to the Mason. I'm like, what? Stop the camera. Do you want to come in and talk? Yeah, okay. Turn it on. And he gave us a lecture about Freemasonry here in the DR. And we were like, dude, this is insane. We went to a park, and this guy happens to be a high level Mason. And there's an order that's only given
Yeah.
here. He has
Well,
that one.
33 degree
Right, but
is
he
one.
has right. So, but the thing is, it's like exactly like you said, like there are no coincidences, none
No.
whatsoever. Especially when you're
No.
meddling in this topic, like stuff starts happening, lights start blinking, man.
Oh yeah. And
Listen,
this property that I'm on,
yeah,
okay. Oh yeah, there were evidently things that happened on this property as well. So,
like ancient or
like like years ago. Years
oh,
ago. So, yeah, not like ancient, but
mm,
100 years ago.
right, right. So it's some ancestry there, some history there.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh
So you guys
yeah.
didn't, another non-coincidence that you happened to choose that place to live in.
Well, it was from his family.
Of course. Of course. Of course. That's so, I mean, not a dull moment in the
No.
carpenter's house. Um, so, this show is called, first of all, before I forget, and I
Mhm.
can't believe I was about to forget. You are the first woman that I interview.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
And
I'm
all
honored.
of all the things that I've done with Zoom, with YouTube, with my other things, you're the first female, full-fledged, 100% certified origin woman that I interview. And it couldn't be
100%. Absolutely.
100%. And it couldn't be any other way because you're one of the coolest person I know. So, and that could talk honestly about all these topics without any of the political correctness. Because let's be honest, women are so politically correct, and you are not.
I'm
so,
not.
I'm glad this is my poppet of cherry moment. It was with you.
Aw,
So
thank you. I'm honored, honestly, dear. I
right,
really am.
right. I really, really enjoy this. So this channel is called the Order of Leathered Dragons. It's an homage to the first cowboys of the southwest of the United States, northern Mexico. All that people that went there and started the whole thing. It's very um badass in my opinion, and
Yeah.
dragons are very badass in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion. What do dragons mean to you, and do they have ever played a role in your life, symbolically or whatever?
I cannot honestly say that they have.
Mm,
Uh, mm, I mean, dragons are very mythological.
mm-hmm,
They're, I think, very seductive.
mm-hmm.
Any roles that are played that include dragons are very alluring and sexy and all of that stuff. But have I had an encounter with
I'm not saying if you
um
had an encounter with a dragon, maybe if you have or haven't, but if that image means anything to you personally.
oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're big and powerful
Right.
and majestic
Right.
and oh, absolutely. Of course. I think we all have some sort of connection with dragons, right?
Hmm.
Because they've always been a big part of our, ancient history and
Hmm.
some, all of that. So, and they're glamorized,
Mm.
you know, even till this day.
Right. What is it? What is it about dragons and other things like that that are so alluring? Because you think that by now, with our materialistic reductionist mindset, scientific mindset, that we've put away all those childish things, but we keep coming back to them.
Oh my God. It has to do with imagination,
Mm,
right?
imagine.
Imagination is so important. Like I remember when I was a little kid, I had the biggest freaking
Oof,
imagination
I bet.
possibly.
I bet.
I remember when I was little and I was digging a little hole and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I was little and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to reach the center of the earth. Okay. I'm like, I see it. In my mind, I could see it. And I
Right,
would
you're
just,
mining away.
right, right. So, like now when they make dragon shows like Game of Thrones and the other one that came out, love watching them because it's mythical, it's sexy,
Mhm.
you're using your imagination
Right,
and all of that and it's kind of going back to that inner child and the
right.
excitement, right? And I think that's what's so important for people to remember is their inner child. Okay,
Oh,
never forget that. Never forget
yes,
that you can,
yes.
and I'm here to tell you,
Mm,
if you can imagine it, it will happen.
mm,
Okay. If you can imagine it, it will happen.
yes, thy will be done.
Yeah.
And okay, I love that. I love that because it's so true. Imagination.
Mhm.
Um, it's like the medicine against too much reality, and also it can transform reality. Because that's the cool part. It's not just something up here. You can bring it down and manifest it in the real, in the physical. So, that
So,
makes us pretty badass, if I do say
yep.
so myself. And coming back to dragons, I think the cool thing about dragons is like they could exist. I mean, why not? We
Why
found,
not?
right? There's so many weird animals on this planet. Why couldn't they exist?
Right. Of
And
course.
and like you say, they speak. They're smart. They want to test you. They want to see what you're made of. And behind them, there's the treasure, right? The
Mhm.
reward. So it's
Mhm.
like that. I think what we are missing now is that coming of age, that thing that I did that made me something different from what I was before. Everything is so sanitized now that people are craving something that they can't name. They don't know what they're missing. So they're into different stuff that distract them: news, sports, hedonism. You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
think, and what I'm trying to do with this podcast is kind of bring that back to the forefront. Like we all need our own Lord of the Rings sort of speak in our lives. And
Absolutely.
mhm,
Fantasy, adventure.
yes, yes,
Again, when you watch that, you begin to use your own imagination, I mean, and also getting out
mm,
and
mm,
experiencing Earth
mm-hmm,
and using your imagination there. Feel the energy. All right. Start creating in your own mind, even in everyday life. Create. Just create it. All right. Get the vision, take the action,
yes,
and definitely have the will.
yeah. Put it
And
out there.
it doesn't have to happen overnight. And in
Mm,
many cases, it doesn't.
mm,
It will. And I've experienced that in my own life
yes.
countless times, going years back,
Mm,
you know, put in my mind I had a vision
mm,
and I took action,
Yeah.
but I had a vision, and it all came right back around to that very exact vision I had, and it was mind blowing.
Right.
It
Right.
was
Right.
absolutely mind blowing every single time.
Right.
Every time.
And it's almost like you have your vision and there's no doubt in your mind that that's going to happen. It's like the minutiae, I'll take care of it as I go. It's not a big
That's right.
deal, but it's almost done. It's just a matter of
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was most of my career I was in medical capital equipment sales.
What?
And yeah.
Say that again. Say that again.
Medical capital equipment sales. Yeah, like I was selling patient monitoring systems,
Mhm.
MRIs, CTs,
Oh,
ultrasound.
so you've always been in healing.
Yes, always, always
Oh,
in the medical arena. But I was in between jobs. I wanted to leave this other job and I
right.
wanted to find another job. And what I did was I took a piece of paper and I wrote what I wanted down to the type of manager, down to the culture of the
Mm-hmm.
company. I mean, it was this long. And I put it kind of like over by my computer to my right, and it was just always there. And every day I just pick it up and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go, I'd still go on LinkedIn and, you know, this is no lie. You can't make it up. In 3 months, every single thing, I had a checklist. All right. And checked it off with this job that I got. So no one can tell me that this doesn't work.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can attest to that because when you said that, it just reminded me, whoa, I did the same thing.
Yes. I yes. People do it and they don't even realize it,
Hmm.
you know? But then when you become aware of it, then you also realize that you can continue to do it. All right.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
can-
Exactly.
Right.
Awesome. Awesome. So to finish off, I left the best for last. All right.
Uh-oh.
So, Laura Ann,
Yes.
if you were a bourbon, how would you describe yourself?
If I was a bourbon
Yeah.
and I would describe myself smooth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really smooth going
Mm-hmm.
down. And
Mm-hmm.
then that aftertaste,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that like, oh my God, just the flavors and that burn, that perfect burn, okay? But the smoothness combined and the heat
Right.
and all of that, and then traveling inside someone's body and just making them feel awesome.
And that is it. That is marketing right there. That is A plus plus plus. Makes me want to go drink some right now. Damn. And the reason we're not drinking today is because I got a boxing class tomorrow, or else we'd be hitting the bottle. No, for sure. All right. I
And
ain't
so
no
the next one that we schedule,
yeah.
do not have a boxing class the
Hell
next day.
no. No, no, no. We're gonna do I wanna do the sommelier thing, the tasting of different bourbon. Yeah. That'll be one heck of, maybe we can have Shane on and he can do whatever version of Canadian they do. I'm sure they have some.
Well, they have their own whiskey, okay?
Right, right, right. So yeah, that'll be fun. So people, that was Laura Ann, Bourbon Babe, sharing her story, her wisdom, and the work she's doing to help others heal and awaken. If you want to connect with her, check out Journey with Laura for more on her offerings, sessions, and upcoming events. As always, and thank you for listening. This is the Order of Leather Dragons. Stay wild, stay sovereign, and stay leather. Yeah. All right.